Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen and life coach Linda Armstrong here. Today is Friday, February the 22nd, 2019. It's 4 p.m. in New York, 1 p.m. in Los Angeles, 9 p.m. in London, and Sydney, Australia. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Wherever you are in the world, thanks for tuning in for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And we're actually doing something a little different this week. We've been doing meditations for 5 straight episodes. I think there was actually a break in there, but like Meditation City was what was going on here, and it's time to get away from the meditations for a while. So we're just going to go back to doing some talking about the law of attraction, deliberate creation, and any questions that listeners want us to address. We'll be glad to address those too. So if you're listening to the live stream, feel free to ask questions. And I actually see Nashia is asking a couple questions already, which means 2 things. First of all, it means that I'm now getting updates, which is good because I wasn't getting that with yesterday's podcast, Linda. I mean, I had a great guest on, Linda. I don't know if you heard, but Steve Rowell, who normally does the Thursday afternoon with me, got sick with that flu that's going around. And he sent me his life coach to sit in his place. And Dan was just like a wonderful interview. We just had a great time. But I didn't get the questions from the audience because Facebook wasn't updating comments. It was kind of frustrating. So,
oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So what are you going to do?
Bummer.
You know? Yeah. But the discussion was wonderful. I mean, that was one of the best first interviews I've ever had with somebody. So, and he actually wrote to me afterwards saying how much fun he had. So it was a good time was had by all. Let's put it that way.
Good. Very good.
Yeah. But Nashia does have a couple questions. So let me just do a little copy and paste here so I don't lose them. Because once Facebook does start working, it does tend to scroll off the screen for me just to keep things interesting. All right, so we'll just do a little copy-paste. She says, could you please share some tips on how to visualize? And is there more than one way to visualize? Which is an interesting comment.
Yeah, well, I only know one way to visualize. I'm not sure I understand the question.
I'm not really sure either.
Just imagine. Well, for me, you visualize something. You just imagine what you would like it to be like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so maybe her question comes because some people say, but I can't see the story. But you don't have to see it. You have to feel it. So maybe she could put in a comment there if that's what she's getting at.
Mm.
And the other thing, too, is like I've asked you, Walt, before. Can you imagine what your cat looks like right now? Like, I'm not looking at my cat. I know exactly what she looks like. Can I imagine that she's walking across the floor? Yeah, totally. Can I see her jumping on the Christmas tree and knocking things over in my mind right now? Yeah, absolutely. It's not like I have a movie playing, but I can see it. Like I know it, what it would be like, or what it would, I guess, definitely what it would feel like. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Actually, I find the feeling is what makes me able to justify that I'm visualizing properly. Because
can you picture your car? Can you picture your car right now, like in the parking lot somewhere, or can you picture yourself sitting in a car driving with a friend, singing to a song and having a good time? Can you picture remembering when you were younger and you were playing some kind of game with a friend, even like when you were 5? Like when you remember it, you're imagining it. You're recalling it. So it's the same thing. So I don't know if she can clarify that. But interestingly enough about that, I had somebody send me a comment on my website during this past week about a condition which, I have to find the email, but it was, I can't even remember the name of it. It started with an A, but some people, I guess, cannot get mental pictures.
Yeah, well, it's not that I can't, but it's very difficult for me. And the term it's a condition.
They named it.
Yeah,
like
aphantasia. Aphantasia.
Oh. Would you say you have that?
I have, yeah, I would say I have it. Yeah.
Why? I don't understand that. I think that's like really maybe what this question is about.
It could be. I mean, for me, there are times where if I try to like sum up an image, I get nothing. There are other times I get just a very vague, it hardly has any outline, maybe has a little color. It's usually fairly dark and muted. But when I do imagining of any kind, like dreaming or whatever, instead of seeing images, I sort of, it's hard to explain. I kind of experience a scene more than anything else. It's not something that I feel like I'm seeing. I just feel like I know that there's this object here and that object there, and because I remember when I'm awake that this object is green. I know that it's green, but maybe I see an actual little bit of greenness. It's not like it's a sharp green color, and I don't see a sharp outline or anything like that. Yeah,
I think this is the confusion. I think people are thinking that visualization means you have to see like you're looking at a picture.
Yeah, that's part of it.
And you don't. You really don't. Like when a couple of houses that I bought, I bought them in like really bad condition so I can get them at a really good price and then renovate them and sell them, right?
Ah, you're a house flipper. I didn't know that.
Well, house flipper to live in until we got tired of it and then got another one because I had the ability.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not that I'm selling, I'm selling it for my own purpose to then go buy a new one for myself. That I can, that I lived in them all, put it that way.
Okay.
I didn't do it as a business. But I could walk into in this one house we bought, I was like, oh, I can't believe I'm going to actually live in there. We actually cleaned one room, lived in that one room while we attempted to clean the whole rest of it and restore it, right?
Right.
So, but my point of saying that is, when I walked into it, it doesn't matter that what my eyes were actually seeing in the place, I could see what it would be like. That's why I could buy it. Mm-hmm. Because I could see what it could look like. But I didn't see pictures. I just knew, I would do this, I'd knock that wall out, I'd put a railing here, like I would see it in my mind's eye without a picture. So that's a good question because, is she writing anything more if that's what she's meaning?
Let's see. Well, it's because what's she saying here? I've got to make sure I understand this. Hang on a second. I get the pictures, but how important is feelings? Because one of very famous guy who teaches Neville says, see it like a movie and see the end of it.
You know what? I think you got to interpret it how it will work best for you, right? So I can say that I see it like a movie, but I don't see it like I'm watching a movie. Mm-hmm. But I can still see it. I know all the people in the picture. I know like what's being done there. But like right now I'm looking out my window as I'm talking to you and I'm imagining a scene of something. Not the trees I actually see through my window, but the story. Like when I was talking about the house I went into and I'm looking at all this crap and if I could see past it to what it could be like and how nice it could be. Every house I ever did that with sold like this as soon as we went to sell it because number one, I would always do energy work and work with crystals and stuff.
Right.
It just always felt so good. Whereas I walked in it the first time, I'm like, I want to throw up.
Yes.
But I could see what it could be. I could imagine without so-called pictures even, but I would say that if you need to see pictures, then why don't you make up a little collage with the pictures of this is what the house I want to look, or the relationship. Maybe you have pictures of two people holding hands or hugging each other. You don't have to see their faces. You just know, oh, that's me and that's that guy, Mm-hmm. The guy I'm going to fall in love with and get married,
Yeah.
So if you need pictures, I guess you can it's like mind movies, you would make movies.
Right.
On mind movies that told the story of what you want to live.
That's what a vision board is too. Vision boards are all about putting the pictures up so that you don't have to draw the pictures up in your mind.
So if you need that, there's ways to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't think you need it. I think you could see it without. I think people don't realize how well they see without thinking that they're not seeing.
I think part of it may be the word see. I mean, we use the word see just in general English conversation of, do you see what I mean? Well, not do you actually physically see what it is that I am talking about, but do you understand? That's what we actually mean when we say, do you see what I mean? So it may be the same kind of thing here. See is being used more generically in a broader sense.
It's like what's your intuition? It's your ability to see, and you have a pineal gland which actually could register light, but it's not like it sees pictures. Oh, there go my dogs. I hope somebody's going to quiet them.
Oh no.
That's one. Let's hope the other one doesn't chime in. Oh my God. All right, we're going to have to deal with it. Sorry.
Okay. Well,
I could see my husband and my son taking off outside, and so they might be not in separate rooms.
Well,
let's hope it goes well.
If it doesn't calm down, then I'll just do some announcements and try to answer questions myself while you go take care of the dogs and come back. So
okay.
We'll be fine one way or another.
Okay.
But I think I understand what you mean. I've always tried to describe what I see when I dream, first in terms of the image, but then the image doesn't go very far because I can't really image much of anything. So then I turn it into how do I understand what happened in the scene? You know, because I can imagine space, so to speak. Like I'm looking at a map, or like you know, just like a blind man learns a room, right? The blind man may not know the room the first time he goes in the room, but you know, he feels where all the furniture is in the room, and now he has the sense. Okay, you know, the chair is 5 feet that way, and the sofa is 2 feet that way, and there's a coffee table to my left, and you know, he doesn't actually have to see it to know that it's there. You know, so he's kind of creating a little map in his mind, so to speak. In that sense, then I do see. I think everybody sees in that sense.
I'd say, so let's put it this way. Say it was a woman who wants to get married and have children, have 3 children and have a nice backyard and all that. So this is what they want, right? Mm-hmm. And so you just have to imagine living it. I don't think you have to see the pictures in your eyes of the exact, what the house looks like, if there's a lot of grass out there, or if it's got a lot of dirt. Like, make it what you want it to be. Like really lush grass. Mm-hmm. You have a sense of what that is, right? Walking barefoot on this beautiful lawn with the kids jumping around playing with water guns, and you know, you can imagine a scene like that as I say it, right?
Sure.
Seeing, in my case, my husband cooks all the time. I don't have to cook. Seeing your husband cooking all the meals, you know, like you just imagine it how you want it. Yeah.
Okay. So she says, she followed up, she says, as if we see it in a movie, we see the entire thing like a camera, or like with our own eyes, being there like recording, where you don't see yourself but things around you. I think,
yeah, so I don't think you have to be so locked into thinking that's the only way. Hey, look at it this way. It's an unlimited universe, right? Mm-hmm. We all have the ability to create basically anything if we believe that we could, right?
Right.
So, make up your own way of seeing your movies, right? Instead of being locked into a sentence somebody wrote in a Neville book, and interpreting what you think he meant by that, because how do we know exactly what he meant by that? Unless we have him in the room with us and ask him, right?
This is true.
He who wrote it. Do you have to see real pictures, or can you just kind of feel what it's like and imagine like feel yourself in the room with?
He did emphasize that too. He said it wasn't so much a question of being the observer; it was more about being the participant. So his idea of visualizing was, what's it like to participate in this thing that you're thinking about, whatever it is? What does it feel like? What senses can you bring to mind that help to make the scene real for you?
Right, because I don't know if Neville talks about it. I mean, I didn't really do much with Neville. I did listen once, but he's not necessarily talking about vibration. He's just talking about imagining, right? Does he talk? But he talks about feeling. He talks about feeling, but maybe not in the respect of vibration, like the way Abraham might put it. But that's all it is. Feel yourself in the story you want to live, because that's the energy of it. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Maybe that house is purple and it's got moss all over the roof, but you know what? You love it, and it feels so good to be there, and it's so unique, and I don't think you gotta get locked into the actual pictures. I think you gotta just feel your way, feel it, because everything's vibration, everything's energy. So whatever that energy is that goes out, I mean, that's at least the way I feel that it is.
I think you're right. No, I think you're on the right track there. In fact, I remember Cindy Chavez and I were the ones who go through the Neville books together, and we had quite a conversation a few times actually about this. And we pretty much agreed that when Neville uses the phrase or uses the term to feel, he's referring to it in one of two ways. He's referring to it either in terms of an emotional feeling, and that's usually the more important one, but it can also be a sensory feeling. And the takeaway we get from that is, since we have 5 senses, each one of us has one or more senses that are dominant or strong. And I think for most people, probably for all people, that the most dominant sense, the one that is strongest in us, is the one that we can summon up in our minds. Like for myself, sound, particularly music or conversation, I can summon that into my mind. I can hear an orchestra when there's no orchestra playing. I can hear the orchestration. I can hear all the different instruments doing their pieces. So while I may not be able to see an image of the orchestra playing, I can hear it. If somebody else's dominant sense is touch, well, maybe not orchestra, but maybe they can feel, a fabric. Maybe they can feel the hardness of a wall. They can feel what a chair feels like. They can touch things that are around them. So again, you create the scene with whatever sense or senses are strong enough for you to summon them up in your mind. For me, the strongest one is sound. Second one is touch. I can occasionally get a little bit of a scent or a smell going on. Occasionally I can get a taste going on. Sight's usually like the worst one for me. But by taking the ones that I've got, that I know that I can summon up, I can create a scene that is based on touch and sound. And that scene is fairly definite. It's got some fairly strong shape to it, so to speak. So the combination of feeling the emotions and feeling in the sense of using the five senses, I think that's really what Neville's driving at in terms of his idea of visualizing.
Okay. That should answer it.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, Nashia's got more here, and I have trouble reading it in the Facebook chat, so I'm going to copy it over here so I can see what it actually says. Because my eyesight isn't what it was when I was in my 30s, strangely enough. She says, you know how a drone camera takes a picture, a bigger picture, the buildings around you, the scenery, being there with, suppose, a friend, or because I'm somewhere and I'm looking at everything with my naked eyes? No, you don't want to think about it in terms of what's with your naked eyes. You want to think about it in terms of what do you think about when you imagine something? Anything.
I think just find the easiest way to do it. There's no right way. You got to find your own way.
I mean, when you dream, Nashia, what comes to you? Something comes to you. I don't know what. Whatever that is, that's you imagining.
In a dream, you might have more of a visual sense, though.
Not me. For me, my visual sense is about the same as when I'm trying to imagine something. So you're right, though. That's also a possible difference. For other people, maybe one's going to be stronger. So there's a difference.
All right, let me ask. Here's a good question. So when we were doing the meditation, I'm taking you through different things and guiding you through different places. How are you experiencing? Are you feeling it, sensing it, seeing it?
I experience it the way I experience a dream. So when you say, I'm trying to remember one of the particular things that you said, but you took us into the future at one point, right?
Took you into this beautiful place in nature, and you're looking at these different possible futures of bubbles of light coming to you. Right.
So I don't actually see bubbles of light. I don't actually see the nature. What I do is I experience it the way I do in a dream state, which is kind of like I'm walking, and by walking I mean it's not like I'm actually standing on my feet and I feel myself stepping. There's a motion going on, and it's a much more vague motion. It's not a landscape that I can see a lot of image in or something like that, but it is a landscape where I know where stuff is, and I can smell some of it, and I can hear a lot of it. Just the way I was describing earlier about what my strong senses and what my weak senses are. My dream state reflects the strength of my senses. So when you were describing what's it like going to the nature, I'm hearing nature sounds. I'm getting some of the smells of nature. I can see little bits of color, not large amounts, but little bits of color. When you describe bubbles, I just think of it like a circle, and it's sort of a spherical shape, and I think of that kind of floating through the air. That's my idea of the bubble that you're putting out there.
Yeah. So you said you think of it. So thinking is imagining, right? Without a picture, maybe.
Yeah.
So I know for me, when I first started with meditation, I thought I couldn't do it because other people will talk about these full-blown pictures like they were part of the movie, and I'd be like, yeah, I didn't have that. Now sometimes, and when I dream though, when I do remember a dream, I remember maybe being in a movie, maybe what she's speaking about. Maybe I think I see stuff like in a movie, but in meditation, I really don't. I just sense it and know it. And once in a while, I'll get a flash of something where it is an actual, maybe picture, which puts me maybe deeper into it, but it doesn't stay there. Then I'm just moving through it without pictures. So that's why I think it's got to be very individual. You just got to find your way with how you sense what it is you want to create.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's true. One of the things I learned fairly early on when because I wrestled with this question too, particularly early stages of trying to be a deliberate creator. because I knew I had this difficulty, and I'd also learned that there were people who really could see entire picture scenes, full color. And I was saying, well, I feel jealous. I want to experience that too. You know, that's a big advantage right there. So I was kind of getting myself into a feeling of, well, I'm deprived. I'm in a feeling of lack, you know. And so I kept reinforcing this idea that I can't see anything, and so I just kept stumbling and stumbling and stumbling. It wasn't until I turned that around and said, well, I can see with my other senses. In other words, I can sense with my other senses, and I can summon up sound. I can definitely do that, you know. So how about if I start painting things in terms of sound? Then it isn't that I spend all my time painting in terms of sound now. It's just that I feel better about what I can do.
Yeah.
So what I can do now, I recognize that it's pretty much the same of what I experience in a dream state, and that's good enough because it's not like my dream state is inferior. You know, it just is what it is.
You know, as you're describing that, I'm remembering, you know, what I was just saying, how in the beginning, I thought I couldn't meditate. I wasn't doing it right because I wasn't seeing the pictures like other people were seeing these pictures.
Yeah.
So first of all, you're giving your power away because you're comparing yourself to how that person does it, right? And that kept me from actually getting there. It wasn't until halfway through this year-long course that I stopped trying to experience the way other people experienced it, and I had my own experience. And my teacher's like, well, what happened? You know, what was it like? And I'm like, and I'm describing it. She goes, that's exactly it. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't see pictures like that girl did or that one did. Like, you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right?
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just got to find your own way for me, I think the most important thing, finding the feeling of what it is, because that's the vibration. Whatever goes out vibrationally is exactly what you're getting back.
You tell me if you have the same experience as me with this. When I find that when the feeling is strong, really, really strong, it actually enhances the rest of the central image. The vision becomes clearer for me. The touch becomes really clear. The sound becomes really clear because the feeling is strong. When the feeling is weaker, it gets very, very soft and muted, and I can hardly even tell that it's there. The feeling apparently drives it for me. And I remember particularly, my father passed in March of 2008. In April of 2008, I had actually, well, there's a whole story that's involved there. I actually did all of my grieving for my dad before he died, which really freaked me out because after he died, I said, where's all the grief? Yeah, I told you about that. Well, I also, despite the fact that the grieving was over, I kind of missed him. I kind of missed being able to talk to him. And it wasn't just a recent miss because my dad died from Parkinson's symptoms. So like the last 3 or 4 or 5 years of his life, he had a hard time communicating in general. So I hadn't had a really good conversation with my dad for a number of years. And that's what I was missing. And I said, geez, I really wish I could do that. And a few days later, I had a dream where I met my dad in the dream. Now, that dream was so emotionally powerful. The feeling of it was so strong.
Your dad, I'll tell you why, because your dad was there.
Oh, yes, I get that. Yeah, which is cool. But the fact that it had such a strong feeling with it made it much more real. Everything about it felt real. The hugs felt real. The conversation felt... It was all so definite, so well defined because of the feeling.
Because it was real. Because it was real. Because it was real.
But
it's a total energetic experience.
But my point is that the sensory stuff that I was freaking out before about all of a sudden became so much easier because the feeling was so strong.
Yeah.
And apparently because it was real.
I just want to make sure you know that it was real.
I know it was, actually. Yeah. I'm 100% sure that I was having that experience with my dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really believe that. I think feeling drives the whole thing. I think feeling is what makes the images stronger or weaker. It's what makes our ability to drive the whole thing deliberately. Well, I mean, that's basic Abraham theory, right? You have to really feel it in order for it to happen.
Vibration.
It's all about that vibration. Yeah, exactly. So.
I mean, it feels real, and it feels true to me that it is all about vibration. That's why I teach it that way. I mean, it just makes sense to me.
I think I asked you about this one other time, but I wanted to ask you just now based on what you were talking about. Vibration. When I think of the word vibration, I literally think of something vibrating, you know, at a very high rate of speed. And
this is vibrating.
Okay.
It's solid. Everything's vibrating. This is vibrating.
Yeah, I get it. but I mean, like like talking about it. Yeah, right. But I'm talking about like actually being able to see a vibration.
I
Right?
know what you're saying.
So,
I know.
I'm imagining that really, really fast vibration going on there. And as that vibration is going on, one of the things that in physical vibration, we can feel like, if there's a fan going, you can feel the wave of the fan. You can feel the waves. Or if there's an electrical vibration, you can feel, I recommend not doing it with a high voltage, but with low voltage electricity, you can feel the electricity. You can feel that vibration going on. You are very much in touch with broader source energy. Do you feel anything like that? Do you have any kind of sensory experience of it?
Well, I guess I could say, depending on how you're asking it. So first of all, I don't know what this card's about, but this is what I pulled.
Oh, okay. Medicine
and it
mother?
Says, honor your inner knowing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's appropriate.
It's a new deck. I don't know what it's going to say. Well, I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay.
So like when I meditate, or when I work with my clients, or when I even was given those meditations on this show, I feel myself expand. I can feel my energy bigger than I am.
Right.
And that has a real, for me, very subtle, fine hum to it or buzz to it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Very subtle and fine.
Yeah.
But there's times when I'm vibrating, when I'm meditating, where I feel like a really different buzz. Like I'll feel different sensations of energy, which is vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So not like in the earthquake and the whole ground shakes, but definitely there's a buzz of something. So sometimes it's more of a very subtle. Sometimes it's more of a very keen. I don't know how to describe it. I'm trying to find words for it.
Well, when you've led us on the meditations, which we did the last few weeks, especially with last week's, I remember I felt the energy very, very strongly. And
okay, so describe it.
Right. So
it's hard. It's hard to describe.
It is hard to describe. It feels like. How do you describe that? It feels like there is a room full of very small molecular level particles, but it's like, you can wave your hand in the air and you can feel the air. It's that level of feeling to it.
Right.
And it's not a static field, but it's also not a field that moves very much. It just kind of sort of stays there. But it also feels alive, and I think that's probably equivalent to what you were talking about when you said there's a very subtle vibration to it. I think that probably is that alive feeling.
Well, so if you took like a crystal, especially one with a point, or even, the feeling of two magnets repelling?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think I had you bring energy into your hand before, right? And you can feel that. You
feel
right now, that buzz of energy. It's like that's vibration. It's like a cushion.
Yes.
Right? Or you can take any crystal, but the ones that have a point to them, and you hold your hand over it and you start moving it around. You can feel the energy of the crystal, right? I like when I use like this thing's called an etheric weaver, right? So it actually it'll move in every different direction to weave together your aura or your etheric field, right? For any like holes or it'll just put it in balance, right?
Okay.
So, I could do it for you right now, and we'll just see what it does. I'll try to hold it up.
Oh.
So I'm going to intend that this, right now I'm asking this to do a clearing of your etheric field, right?
Okay.
I'm going to try to hold it where we can see it. Now my hand is going to be as still as I could possibly make it. And once I ask it to do what we're asking it to do, it'll start moving. I don't know which way it's going to go, but this particular thing, it'll be, it might go sideways. It might go around in every corner. It might do circles. It might be like jumpy until it stops.
Okay.
So it'll do its thing until it stops. Okay. So we're going to, so we'll just do that. We're going to ask for, a healing for Walt's etheric field. And so we're just going to ask it, and there we go. See, it's already starting.
That's really wild.
Okay, so, and if whenever it wants to stop, it'll stop. And sometimes you think it's stopping, and then it decides to do something else. Let me see if I can hold. I got to try and hold it steady in one spot. Okay, that's going to do this healing. So now it's still going the same direction, back and forth. But we'll see what it wants to do. So now it's changing direction. See that? Now it's forward and back, right?
Crazy.
And it'll just keep going until it stops. Now, I have a client who called me up like 10 minutes before, messaged me, texted me 10 minutes before session.
Uh-huh.
There's an alpaca farm in Texas. And she says, I'm going to have to set up in the barn. I don't want to miss our session, but I'm going to try and set up in the barn because something's wrong with one of my alpacas. I don't know if she's going into early labor or what's wrong with her. So I said, do you want me to use the etheric weaver on her? She said, yeah. I had to get her permission, right?
Uh-huh.
So I did. And it did its thing until it was stopped, and I thanked it. Now it's going in circles. And so I get on the phone with her like 10 minutes later, and she's in the barn, and it was a bad connection. But the mom's walking around, and we see the legs sticking out of the mom because she started giving birth. And that calf was born within 15 minutes of when I did the clearing. Like 5 minutes into me being on the phone, on the Zoom with her, that baby was born. She said it was the easiest birth ever.
Wow.
That she's ever had. And, everything was perfect with the baby and all that. So.
That thing's going nuts in your hands right now. I mean, that thing's just going crazy.
She says it's got to be the etheric weaver that did that. So she's got her own now. She could use other animals.
And we can't see your hand, but your hand isn't really moving. Your hand's just holding still.
No, I'm not. I'm holding it still.
That's crazy. I mean.
No, so hold on. Let me ask it.
Okay.
Let me just ask it. Is this healing complete for Walt? And side to side, that's my yes.
That's your yes. Okay.
Thank you. Look, I say thank you. Watch, it stops.
Wow. Well, thank you too. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. So you just had a nice little healing. But sometimes I'll do it for myself. Like I have this like ganglion cyst on one of my fingers here, and so I've been using it over that, right? And it's actually getting smaller. So it made me think of it because when I use it on that and it's moving around my hand, I feel it everywhere it's going. I feel it, what it's doing, like on my hand, because of course crystals have energy, and you can feel it, you can feel it. Another way to test it, like I like to go across my teeth because my teeth will really vibrate when it goes past.
Wow. Yeah.
So, that's feeling a vibration.
I would say, yeah. Well, also in this case, we were watching the vibration of the what's it called, the weaver?
That's true. Etheric weaver.
Etheric weaver. Okay.
It's called that because it's got these magnets wrapped around it, and it's just anyway.
But it's crazy because, I mean, most of our listeners are not listening to the live stream. They're listening to the podcast recording. So they can't see what's going on here. But I got to tell you, you're holding it there. And I couldn't see your hand, but I could see your arm. Your arm was steady. It wasn't going anywhere. And it started off really slow. And then, I mean, the oscillations started to get pretty dramatic at one point. I mean, we're not talking 1 or 2 degrees. It was like,
sometimes it's like
degrees.
Really. Well, sometimes it's really big. It just depends on whatever it's doing for that person. It's never the same either. It's different every time I do it for somebody.
And it did change. It changed like 2 or 3 times in that. Changed its pattern 2 or 3 times. Yeah.
I wasn't paying too much attention because I was talking, but yeah. And you can do it, in person or remotely by either putting the person's name on, I have actually little cards. And I'll put someone's name on it, and then I'll do it to that. Or you can do it to a picture, a person's picture, and hold it over the person's picture, as long as you give the instruction to, this is the healing for this person.
Now, there was another thing that was happening, too.
Or because I have you online here, I'm looking at you, I'm letting it know this is the healing for you.
Right. Yeah, sure. Yeah, and that makes sense. The other thing that was happening that was pretty crazy, while you were describing that you were about to do this, and you were kind of giving us the setup on it, I started to feel that energy field that we were talking about, which previously I'd felt because you led us through the meditation, but now I'm feeling it during I'm a fully conscious person just in conversation, and I'm feeling the field.
Right, because I'm already intending what we're going to be doing with it. So it's already, it doesn't matter the words I say. It's more the intention that I give to it.
Which is crazy. I mean, I've experienced that with you before, but I'm still feeling it. I'm still feeling that field right now. It's all around me. I can feel it for about 2 or 3 feet out. something like that.
Yeah, see?
Very strange, yeah.
Because the crystal knew that we're going to do this for Walt before I even have to say the physical words, because now I'm demonstrating it, right? But we knew what the purpose of the whole thing was for.
My mind goes back and forth on this stuff. It goes back to, 20 years ago when I was a doubting Thomas on all of this stuff. And that little doubting Thomas me is saying, okay, yeah, where's the catch in this? There's got to be a catch somewhere. Right. And the rest of me is saying, whoa, this is cool stuff. So I've got this double thing going on inside. It's funny.
You know what? Sometimes I just put it down to, you know what? I like my kind of crazy.
It is. It's great.
Crazy helps people. I might as well keep doing it.
Absolutely. If this is what crazy is, I could live with this kind of crazy. The kinds that I usually see where people are, bouncing off of walls and so forth. I could stay away from that one. But this one, I could handle this kind. This is good crazy.
Or who knows? Some crazy conspiracy thing, and the guy's living in a bunker because we're going to be bombed tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I'll avoid that one.
He's entitled to a story.
Sure, yeah, just don't include me. That's all I ask. Don't wave any pendulums around me. That's the guy in the bunker I'm talking to, by the way.
Okay, so let's do this one. Let's read this, because I don't know what's going to... This is a new deck. I don't know.
What is the name of this deck?
Medicine Mother. This is Kyle Gray.
Okay, Kyle Gray. Kyle Gray.
Angels, okay. Kyle Gray, Angels and Ancestors. He's like 30 years old, this kid. He's been seeing angels since he's 15. He has a bunch of decks, a bunch of things he does with Hay House. Okay. So anyway, that's the card.
Right. Medicine Mother. Okay.
Yep. And then we'll see what it says. So it says, take action, do whatever you need to do. Mother always knows best, they say, and it's true. We all know how maternal figures, we all know a maternal figure who's extremely intuitive and insightful, and the medicine mother has gone through many ups and downs. She has lived and she has lost. She knows what it's like to suffer and to want to give up. So the medicine of this card is that it's okay to make mistakes and get it wrong sometimes, and it's okay for things to come and to end. It's not the end of the world, just the end of one chapter and the beginning of something new. The medicine mother reminds you that even though you will have lows, you will have low lows, you aren't here to suffer. You're here to be supported and to support others. Let her give you the loving encouragement to take the next step forward. Now, there's another part to this.
Okay.
The extended message is, there's an old pattern rising up in you now, and it's time to deal with it and release it for good. You're being encouraged to love and respect yourself enough to take the steps you know you need to take to move closer to where you'd like to be. So I feel like this is just talking to this whole discussion about the right way or wrong way to manifest through visualizing or whatever it is. It says, you're being encouraged to love and respect yourself enough to take the steps you know you need to take to move closer to where you'd like to be. You already know the answers. You know what you need to do. You may have been using delaying tactics or holding back, but now you're being guided to take action. Action requires courage, but your angels and guides are bringing you the courage to move forward. Take just one step. When you do, the next one will be presented to you. So, I don't know, maybe it's talking directly to Nashia, because I don't get caught up in the little nuances or thinking there's a right way and a wrong way to make changes in your life. Like, okay, I learned about law of attraction, and I know now I'm empowered to manifest. I tell you what, my husband, he'll complain about law of attraction doesn't work.
A lot of people complain about that.
But you know what I realized it is because things always came easy to him. Didn't try at all. He just held the energy of this stuff being easy. Then you learn, there's a way to do it. So now it's like, they say you have to do it this way or that way. So that's why it's reminding me. It's like, I have to visualize. I have to see the picture to visualize. Because what is visualize? Because maybe somebody else said, you have to see pictures. I'm saying there's no freaking right way. Find your own way, because you can get stuck up in how you think it has to be. And when you do that, that ego mind comes in. The one with the fear and the doubt and the worry that says you're doing it wrong. It's like, shut up already.
Yeah, right.
You want to align with the soul's voice, which is always peace and ease. Right? Yes. It's always peace and ease. So if something is too hard, then, maybe you're doing it, maybe you need to find another way to do it, or maybe it's not for you, for a particular thing. Like, I really want to manifest this. And you're trying so hard and you get in that energy of thinking it has to be done a certain way.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you guys and angels are maybe putting up some roadblocks there too, because they're like, no, it's the wrong direction. It's the wrong direction. You got to go that way. Go the easy way. Spirit always wants you to take the easy road. When you find yourself getting caught up in the hard road, and I've been learning this big time lately with my own coach, you know?
Really?
Yeah. And I've done a couple of videos on soul versus the ego. Because, like even last week I had this thing going on. I was switching a service of some sort, and God, it was so much work, and these guys just couldn't do it. And I'm feeling, I think they could be a scam, to tell you the truth. And I'm like, this isn't right. And I was speaking with my own coach, and she's like, remember, if it's aligned with your soul, everything flows. It's peace and ease. If you have to fight, and there's all this stuff making it hard, your ego's putting that fear in the way. It's bringing things in. It's bringing up the shadow parts of you, right, to want to keep its control. So like my ego, I'm like, listen, the negative sides of ego, we're not working together anymore. I just let it know. So now it's trying. So this is an attempt to get me to fall back into that way of being. And I'm like, no, sorry, I'm just not going there. Right?
Yep.
So where's that coming from? I don't know. I think, this thing with the law of attraction. So like for my husband, I'm like, listen, go back to not doing anything. Cause what I'm learning is I have to do more of nothing than all this stuff I always do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's an Abraham concept, really. Abraham's the one that says you can't get it wrong and you'll never get it done. Which the only thing I don't like about it is the way that it's expressed in the negative. So I flip it around and I say you'll always get it right and the road goes on forever. That's my positive way of saying it.
That's nice. Yeah.
Like that, yeah. But you'll always get it right. Well, if you always get it right, it doesn't matter. There's no such thing as taking a wrong path. You're always getting it right every single time.
Right. So you know what? And another phrase, since I don't know, we're going off on this somehow, that I've been working with a lot is, what if everything is exactly as it's supposed to be? Every problem, anything. What if this is like when something pops up now, I'm like, what if this is exactly as it's supposed to be? Okay. Like I used to look at it differently and say, okay, what am I learning here? This must be showing up so that I can learn something. Now I don't even do that. I'm like, what if this is perfect? This is perfect for me. Guess what? It softens your energy. So you're no longer stuck in that victim mode.
Right.
And you're like, all right, whatever. And it can just dissipate. It's like mindfulness too. Like if you look at something, it loses its power and it can just go away. That's why when you bring up like limiting beliefs and we do these changes and things, we're just looking at it right here, right now. And, saying, all right, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, what? Thank you?
Yeah. Well,
you love me? You love me anyway? Oh my God.
There's actually a genuine side to that. There's a genuine side to saying thank you to that unpleasant thing. Because what you're really saying is thanks for the message. I appreciate that you're trying to tell me something. You know, you can go now, but thank you for it. I appreciate that.
Plus, love heals everything. Freaking everything. So why not love it?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I healed my shoulder, right?
It's hard to remember it.
Pain, but when I realized I could just love it away, it went away.
But when you're in that sharp pain or you're dealing with a really uncomfortable situation or, somebody's giving you a hard time, it can be hard to remember that everything's working out just right.
Well, it's only hard if you don't have any awareness of the concept.
Yes. The more that we are aware of it, the easier it becomes over time.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying that with stuff that I always found to be very, very difficult, painful. Looking at, and I don't recommend looking at the news. I don't recommend looking at politics. It's just something I do because I have this little side of me that wants to keep testing my limits. But I'll see what can I do looking at this stuff and not get caught up in the angst of it. And the more that I am focused on everything is going to be fine, everything's working out great, the long-term picture is looking really, really good, I'm feeling good about everything, I find I can actually, what's the right word? It's like I have a shield up that holds for some period of time.
Okay.
Right now, it holds for about 10 to
you-
15 minutes, and then I have to get away from it because then it starts breaking through. So I have to,
So see
change
how
the focus.
see how it feels for you, since you're drawn to that. See how it feels for you to see something, a horrible thing happening somewhere in the world, and decide, oh, okay, another place I could send my love, and then you send it.
I've been doing that. I've been doing that. Yeah, exactly.
First of all, anything you send out, it has a ripple effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of sending out all this negative victim, problem, blah, blah, blah energy like the news sends out, we can counteract it by sending love to that thing, love to that situation.
Yeah.
Because it does have an effect.
It has a double effect. I mean, from everything that we know and what you're teaching us and so forth, it has an effect in terms of where we're sending it out to, that there's a receiving going on there. But it also has an effect on me. It's both ways. That's what's so cool about it. It's having a positive effect on me to put that out there like that, which I find to be fascinating. Here I am trying to help whoever or whatever is going on out there, and it's all coming back to me in a positive way.
You know Joe Vitale, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Appeared in The Secret.
So he did a whole bunch of things with Ho'oponopono. It's like the modernized version of Ho'oponopono. Mm-hmm. I learned it a traditional shamanic way, which is more difficult to work with. And then I learned his way. And really, basically, you go off of these four phrases, but because, like I've kind of tried to explain before, everything is a reflection of whatever's in you. Like you're the computer base and you're running all the programs. So even that horrible thing you saw in the news is somewhere running within your system. Mm-hmm. So Dr. Ihalakula Hulen is this Hawaiian psychiatrist who healed a whole psychiatric ward in Hawaii. They shut it down after 2 years because everybody was healed. Right. He didn't see any patients. Mm-hmm. All he did was go to his office and clear himself with the four phrases. Mm-hmm. So I've been using these four phrases, and all it is I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. Mm-hmm. I use them all the time. And so it's clearing out these programs. So this stuff the more we do that, the more of that won't appear anymore, right? There's a lot of group think on a lot of these programs, but it doesn't even matter because really everything's a reflection of what's inside you. So the fact that you're looking at it and sending love to it, then it is back and forth. You said you feel the love that comes back, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's very strong.
Because everything's a mirror.
Yeah.
The good, bad, and the ugly.
That's true.
The good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything we experience in life.
If anyone's interested in that, they can search Ho'oponopono and Dr. Joe Vitale, and you'll get his course. I mean, he's got this online course. It's like $39. You can get certified in it. And he's got others. There's tons of them. But it's explained in such a good way through this Dr. Hulen. Like they did a couple of in-person weekend retreats, and they filmed the whole thing. And so that's what you're just watching video after video after video. Mm-hmm. I think it's like $39. Let me tell you, it's like the best $39 you could spend because it's really a self-clearing, thing that you can do for yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the name sounds Hawaiian. I presume it's
It is Hawaiian.
It's a Hawaiian
Hawaiian shamanic process, but this is like a modernized version of it that you do on yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's different about what the traditional Hawaiian one is about?
Well, the really traditional Hawaiian one, I think they would meet like the whole family and they do this whole forgiveness kind of thing with each other. I don't know for sure. They do explain it in that course.
Oh, okay.
But then there's another version I learned that it's just too hard to explain these three different aspects, which basically it's working with the subconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious.
Oh,
and so when you say I'm sorry, you're basically saying you're talking to the divine, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry for this that has appeared in my life because I didn't know I was running this programming within me. You don't know you're running these programs, but they're in there based on who knows what and all your experience, right?
Right.
We're not just a one-time lifer. So you're just saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I didn't know I'm running these programs that are creating this miserable stuff.
Right.
I love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. That's it. It's very simple.
Yeah, it is. That's
very effective. And Joe Vitale puts it in a great way.
Just seeing if we have any questions here. I don't know. Nashia's been posting up a storm. She's loving what we're talking about. I don't really see any new questions there. So I'd say we've got like 10 minutes left or so. So for the last 10 minutes, we could just kind of go whatever direction we want to go to. I want to ask you a little bit more about that energy field, because I'm feeling it really strongly right now.
Okay.
And I've been feeling it pretty strongly ever since it emerged when you pulled out the what is it called? I'm trying to
Etheric weaver.
Etheric weaver. Yeah, etheric. So the ether, weaving the ether. Okay. The etheric weaver. The etheric weaver.
The etheric field, right? The auric field.
Okay. All right. Because my energy, my awareness of that energy has been building, and I presume that there's a law of attraction aspect going on here, because I've been talking with you about energy fields for some time. Back last summer when we did one of our first episodes together, we did a thing where you did a whole clearing on me, and I really felt the energy strongly, particularly when you asked permission, can I come to you? I said yes, and you came to me like, boom, oh, wow, big, strong thing there. And since then, we've had more and more opportunities. You've been doing meditations and stuff for us, and I've been directly involved in that. So I've been feeling and experiencing it more and more. So I presume that part of what I'm feeling right now is sort of a culmination of the law of attraction aspect there, that I just keep thinking about and focusing on and feeling these feelings, and now I'm feeling them. But I also wonder, is it more than that? Is this like more awareness going on in myself? Is this more how can I understand what I'm feeling right now?
I couldn't possibly know what it was healing within your etheric field. I just don't know. Mm-hmm. But I just trust that I'm going to assist with, whatever I channel, assisting through that mechanism of the crystal with the magnets to do whatever it does, because, I don't know which direction it's going to go. So something else is driving it to heal whatever might be going on in your etheric field, right? So I remember I had
But what does it mean to say heal? What exactly are we talking about here? Are we talking about clearing energy, or what are we talking about?
I mean, you could have, like, the way they sometimes describe it is there could be like holes or like just parts that aren't, or maybe places where you've taken on someone else's stuff, and I don't know. It's just anything in your energy field that is not really yours, or that has been maybe damaged in some way, or it could be taken out. It could be taking out some programs that aren't helping you. I'm not exactly sure.
Oh, okay.
But I see, and that's the difference with me and some people. I don't need the explanation.
This is true.
But
I know I'm always kind of pushing your limit when I'm asking. I can always tell, because I don't go down this road.
You could probably look it up, because I experience stuff more. I guess I like to feel and more than have to understand it. So I'm more really in that right brain kind of a place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because I started looking up some things with the etheric weaver when I first learned about it, and I learned about it through a psychic medium that I know who has used it many times. One example she gave was a dog that was going to be put down, and she used the person called her and asked her if she would do the session for her dog and use it on her dog. She did it. That dog lived for another 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it just repaired whatever was going on within its field. I mean, all sickness starts from out there in your energy field, right? So who knows what it's repairing within you? It's whatever, like all the limiting beliefs and the patterns and the programs you pick up and that you're repeating throughout your ancestral line, because that's what you have to have these kind of struggles to be worthy, or whatever it is, whatever program's running throughout the ancestral line. That's all there, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I don't, that's why I say I don't know what is being healed within that, but if you're feeling your energy expanding, so maybe you were, part of it was clearing things that would be maybe heavier on you, or maybe draining you or pulling at you. I don't know. And this was more making you come into a wholeness or completeness within your own energy. And again, I'm just making assumptions based on the way I feel that it works. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I'm not like trying to channel the answers right now. I'm just going off of, I think it's just catering or caring or taking care of, things that could be going in the unseen of your energy field that you don't know about yet. Mm-hmm. Maybe that you do. I don't know.
Well, I certainly experience it as if my awareness is increasing. It feels like I'm becoming more aware of it. And
all right, very good.
Like it's whenever we tap into any of our senses, I know if I hear a sound, I'm aware of that sound. I'm very aware of it because, like I said, sound is my strongest thing. And all I need to do is hear about 2 or 3 seconds of music, and I can tell you what the name of it is, where it's from. I can tell you the whole thing about it. I can even probably, if I had enough time, I could sing for you each of the different parts, because I have that kind of an association with it. And that has that's developed over time. I always had a strong sense of sound, but over time that has developed so that my awareness of how that sound works and interacts with itself has increased. I have a feeling, I'm pretty sure that's what's going on here. My awareness of how this energy is working is increasing, which is why I'm asking all these questions like, so how does this work? I'm so curious,
I would really just trust what you feel, because what you feel is what you know. Mm. And we have an ability to know without knowing. So that's the thing is, you can know something without being able to articulate, dot the I's and cross the T's and connect the dots of information.
Yeah.
Some people really need that aspect, right? And that's why I like Greg Braden, because Greg Braden will bring in all the science to back up all this etheric metaphysical stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'll listen to him. I'll watch him. I've done many programs of his, and I can't tell you a single word he said. But I absorbed it all.
Yeah.
I absorbed it all.
Yeah.
In fact, we mentioned possibly doing a show with this woman I know who is in my energy mastery field. She wrote that book, right?
Right.
Maybe we'll do that. We'll see. But we were having this conversation the other day because we were both in the same energy mastery class. Uh-huh. And there was so much information given, but I can't analytically tell you a single thing about it because I just absorbed it on an energetic level.
Yeah.
That's how I work. Mm-hmm. That's how I work.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because you are an energy, I don't know how you express it, but you're an energy-driven life coach is the way I think of it. Like
I'm an energy healer and an awakening coach is the way I put it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't have to know for me to know that it works or that it's real. I don't need to have I don't need to have proof, put it that way. Or I don't need to understand it. I'll give you an example. I can't tell you how many times my son will try to explain something to me, like about the way something works on his motorcycle because he figured something out and I'm like, Steele, it's going in one ear and out the other, right? He's like, no, it's so simple. It's so simple. Just listen, right? And I'll be like, Steele, it doesn't matter how simple it is. It's literally going in one ear and out the other. Like my husband, I'll be like, yeah, how does electricity actually really come through those wires to all I know is you plug it in and it's there.
And it works, right?
Yeah. So he could tell me how it works because my husband and my son, they like to know why things are how they are and what it lights them up. They love thinking that way, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm like, I'll fall asleep because it's like, I don't understand a word you're saying.
That's funny.
I just don't get it.
That is great. I love it.
Because I don't need to get it. If I needed to get it, I could pay attention.
Sure. Yeah.
And I can get it. I mean, there are things that sometimes I'm like, no, I need to know that. And then I'll know it. But most of the time I don't.
That's all right. That's good. That's good stuff. Hey, before we run out of time, I want to make sure I get the messages in. If you're not a subscriber, please become one. And it's really easy to do. If you don't see the links in the description where you're seeing this podcast, just go to loatoday.net and you'll see links there to click on for your particular device and just walk you right through the whole setup process. Once you're done, you are a subscriber, and all of our episodes come right to your smartphone every single time that we publish them. And be sure to share the fact that you're liking the episodes because that's how more and more people find about the show as well. So just want to get those messages out there. And also, Linda, how does somebody find out more about your stuff, especially your videos? And I mean, because you have all this cool stuff you're putting out there, but how do they contact you?
Well, my website is lovemylife.coach, and then you can just find me on YouTube by Linda Armstrong, Energy Healer, Awakening Coach.
All right, there we go.
Linda Armstrong's a common name, so if you add that, you'll find it real easy.
Yeah, I found that just by putting Linda Armstrong Energy. It comes up real quick. So yeah, good stuff. Hey, this is good. This is fun. I love the etheric weaver. I got it that time. The etheric weaver. That was cool. That was a great demonstration of connecting with energy. I mean, I was just sitting here. I wish that all of our podcast listeners, it's a podcast, so most of them can't see the video, but I wish everybody could have seen the video that time because, I mean, that thing was like flying all over the place. I couldn't believe how much activity there was. Whoa.
And then it just stops.
And then it just stopped.
Stops.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. But really cool. Cool stuff.
Yeah, and I'm glad you had the experience that you actually could feel, because I always, come back to when you're like, well, what is energy? Like when we first met each other, really my answer would have been, I don't know.
Yeah, it makes a short conversation when you do it that way.
And now, look, you just felt it.
I did. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I hope all of our listeners can end up feeling it at some point too, if they're interested, that is. But whichever way it was, I just appreciate that you're showing and teaching all this to us, and thank you so much for doing that. And I look forward to carrying on the conversation next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks to our listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.